Over the past week or so, every time I've opened up YouTube, I've been seeing this guy, the Act Man, in my recommended videos talking about how Diablo 4 is not good. Now kudos to him, he clearly knows how to milk that algorithm and how it favors negative content with clickbaity headlines over positive content. But that's more of a reflection of the people who watch gaming content rather than the creator. My most viewed video definitely shows this case. And who am I to negatively talk about a YouTuber who's popping off right now with my roughly 300 subscribers? Clearly, his videos reflect his own opinion and it's pretty well produced content. But when you're talking about Diablo 4 the same way you talk about Redfall, there needs to be some accountability. Doing this is literally no better than being a massive gaming company who's getting paid to write good reviews. The only difference is he's getting paid in ad revenue by YouTube. Now with the negativity out of the way, this video is going to discuss why I think in 2023, a year where we've had so many good game releases, Diablo 4 is the game of the year. For me, the only real contenders for the Game of the Year award this year are The Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom, Final Fantasy XVI, and Diablo 4. As even though Resident Evil 4 and Metroid Prime are both excellent games, they are both remakes or remasters of old games that have previously won the Game of the Year award. Starfield could still potentially steal this title away, but with Bethesda's recent track record, I don't see that happening. If you take a second to look through my channel, you'll notice that I've made quite a few videos on various Legend of Zelda and Final Fantasy games, and only one talking about Diablo. This is because as far as franchises go, I'm a much bigger fan of The Legend of Zelda and Final Fantasy than I am of Diablo. Even as far as companies go, I would always pick Nintendo or Square Enix over the dirtbags at Blizzard. This is why I felt the need to make this video in defense of Diablo 4 as a game. I'd consider all three of the aforementioned Game of the Year contenders role-playing games. While many people consider Tears of the Kingdom and Final Fantasy XVI action games, I believe that taking on the role of a player in a fictional world with a focus on increasing stats and freedom of exploration solidifies the RPG classification. Over the next few minutes, I'm going to directly compare certain issues I've had with both Tears of the Kingdom and Final Fantasy XVI that I have not experienced at all with Diablo. Let me start off by saying Tears of the Kingdom is an excellent game. While I do feel like a lot of the content was recycled from Breath of the Wild, there were still some much needed improvements, including more interesting areas to explore and a much stronger storyline. Unfortunately, there were a few things that prevent this game from being one that I would consider a 10 out of 10. The biggest and most important one is performance. I'm usually very forgiving when it comes to the performance of a game, especially on the Nintendo Switch. However, in Tears of the Kingdom, I experienced many frame rate issues, specifically during boss battles, that actually caused me to mistime a parry or a dodge. The only time I can't forgive performance issues is when they result in a death and the need to restart a section, which was the case for me quite a bit here in Tears of the Kingdom. Two of the other issues that I had with the game were the repetitive shrines and the lack of voice acting throughout. While the shrines are much better than those in Breath of the Wild thanks to Tears of the Kingdom's building mechanic, the repetitive nature of them mixed with the boring bluish color scheme led to them feeling more like a chore than content worth experiencing. As far as voice acting goes, it's 2023 and the budget for this game was clearly massive. Nintendo could afford to put in some proper voice acting throughout instead of weird anime sounds when you're not in a cutscene. Again, overall it's a great game, and those issues aren't too big, but these are both issues that I don't have with Diablo 4. Performance is almost always perfect in Diablo, even when there are 100 enemies on the screen trying to kill you. The dungeons and cellars tend to have their own vibes depending on the area they're located in, and with them being extremely well generated, they don't feel nearly as repetitive or boring as one might think. And while it's not perfect, the voice acting throughout the game is solid, and a huge improvement over previous Diablo titles. Final Fantasy XVI is also a massive achievement for Square Enix and a step into true modern gaming for the franchise. What hurts this game for me is the incredible inconsistency throughout it. Some parts of the game feel like the greatest game I have ever experienced, while other parts feel like they were ripped straight out of a low-budget PS2 title.
Your food. I was hoping it might be. Well, doesn't this look fine? Thank you, lad.
And I know that sounds like I'm being hard on it, but I really wanted this to be my game of the year. I love the franchise, and believe it has some of the best storytelling and combat of all time, but I can't in good conscience act like this game is perfect. Most of the side missions are horrendously tedious fetch quests, and while the good parts of the main quest are really good, there are in-between parts that replicate the terrible side quests. I'd give the story and the combat to this game a perfect rating, and everything else a failing mark. How Square Enix managed to greenlight the drop in quality in certain parts of this game absolutely blows my mind, but you'll have to subscribe and stay tuned for the full review coming within the next few weeks if you want more of my opinion on it. Now, Diablo 4 has the best and darkest story of any Diablo title so far. It seems like Blizzard tried to mix the dark aspects of Diablo 2 with the higher quality visuals of Diablo 3, which in my opinion was a massive success. Even the in-game cinematics look great, with a strong focus on camera angles that showcase the great storytelling. While the story is not as compelling as Final Fantasy's, the side content in the game is what absolutely destroys the competition. Diablo 4 has side quests for days that don't feel like generic RPG fetch quests. I could seriously spend multiple play sessions just doing side content and not feel like I'm wasting my time, which is exactly what you want out of a game like this. Now, the side content in Diablo 4 is excellent and allows for a ton of replayability, but another major factor in this replayability is the insane depth pertaining to character customization. I've mentioned it in a previous video, but it still blows my mind how you and a friend can play together online, choose the same class, and have entirely different playstyles and movesets by late in the game. I'll admit it's a bit of a slow start when creating a new character, but the slow implementation of new moves and abilities allows for it to not be overwhelming, so you can really build a character that suits your playstyle. This is the first Diablo game where I've personally found almost no need for a build guide, as each individual player will find certain abilities they like that can enhance their experience with the game. On top of the abilities of your actual character, armor and weapons also have completely unique abilities too. When luck is in your favor, you might find that absolutely perfect item that aligns itself with your specific playstyle, and that feeling of satisfaction when this happens is unlike anything else. Now, my absolute favorite thing about Diablo 4 is the massive improvements to couch co-op. In a game like this where you spend a lot of time in menus changing up your armor and abilities, two people being able to do this at the same time on the same console is key. It's made my experience playing through this game with my girlfriend an absolute joy. This wouldn't be a fair video though if I criticized the other Game of the Year contenders without mentioning that Diablo 4 is not perfect. The biggest issue I have with the game is it being always online. While it is cool to constantly see other people adventuring around in the game and to be able to group up and trade with friends, the fact that it's always online means that when there are server issues, you literally cannot play. While this hasn't been a common occurrence for me, it has happened a few times and absolutely ruined a night of gaming with friends. Diablo 4 does a great job of making up for this though by introducing what is quite possibly the best implementation of a level scaling system I have ever seen. If you're level 20 and your friend is level 50 and you're playing together online, you will have almost the exact same experience. How this works so smoothly is beyond my comprehension, but it's great and deserves praise nonetheless. Another issue I have is with Blizzard as a company, as Activision Blizzard is the absolute king of scummy gaming practices and microtransactions. The mobile game Diablo Immortal proves this, but luckily the microtransaction cosmetics aren't as shoved down your throat in Diablo 4. However, it does have to be mentioned that charging $30 for an outfit in a video game after charging $100 for the game itself is one of the most disgusting and greedy things I've ever seen. However, as much as I hate Blizzard as a company, they released an absolute banger of a game here, and I have to be honest about that. Even with these minor issues, Diablo 4 is still the modern game that is consuming most of my free time and providing me with the most entertainment. I knew it was going to be good after playing the beta, but I had no idea it would be this good. While I think no game this year has been perfect, I feel that Diablo 4's issues are small in comparison to the issues plaguing most other games released in 2023, which is why I give it an excellent score of 9.5 out of 10 and the title of my game of the year so far. Who knows if another game will steal that title by the end of the year, but I highly doubt it. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like it, subscribe to the channel, all that jazz. It definitely helps motivate me to make more content when a video performs well, and I will have full reviews for my Game of the Year runner-ups, Tears of the Kingdom, and Final Fantasy XVI dropping pretty soon. Until the next one, take care.